Hello and welcome to this week's Out of Cast, your program completely in English as it is pretty obvious.
To improve your knowledge about cinema.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we are your hosts here. I'm Helio the Bluehead with...
And Twinkle Nora.
Yeah. My favorite co-host, friend.
Oh, she's so cute. So,
Okay.
what are we going to talk about
So
today?
this will be the last episode of us talking about movies about World War II. Because I know everyone is sick and tired of listening to this sort of movies. But since we have talked in 2 weeks already, so this will be the last show on movies about World War II.
So, let's
yeah.
start with Enemy Out the Gates.
But now,
No?
before getting
Right,
into,
you're right.
before getting into, let's take a quick break and we'll get to you soon. Okay, so
Like I was saying before, let's talk about Enemy Out the Gate of 2001. The real effects of the war on the life of people and of course the soldiers is an unseen and rare event which can be interesting for the spectator of cinema. Enemy Out the Gates is a film directed by Jean-Jacques Arnaud. It's a type of movie that can show the truest reality of the war, as it's also based on William Craig 1973 non-fiction book Enemy Out the Gates, The Battle of Stalingrad, which describes the events surrounding the Battle of Stalingrad in the winter of 1942 and 1943. The film's main character is a fictionalized version of sniper...
Vasily Zaitsev.
Thank you. A hero of the Soviet Union during World War II. It includes a sniper's duel between
Zaitsev
and Wehrmacht sniper school director Major Erwin Koenig. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did it perfectly.
Thank you. Top boiled actors of this movie are Jude Law, Ed Harris, Rachel Weisz, Joseph Fiennes, and Ron Perlman. A complex of the best made a pretty good movie to stay in the memory of war movies and the history of cinema. Every single actor has done his or her best to realize a character, and also the atmosphere of that era thanks to a sensational acting ability and an intelligent director for sure.
Now, one of the most remarkable things about this movie is for sure its music, composed by none other than James Horner. Now, to be honest, the music is the best thing about this movie. And to add that magical score to some breathtaking scenes, imagine what will happen. Now, one of the problems in this movie is that at some points or moments it highly respects the Soviet regime, especially knowing and showcasing how horrible things they have done to their own people. But although it's safe to say that when the movie was released, it was banned by some, even in Russia. So,
Wow.
and another flaw on this movie might be that some scenes are somehow shown in a cliche way, or let's say repetitive. What we can deny for sure is the intense performance by Ed Harris and a pretty good performance by the young Jude Law. Now, it gained about 97 million worldwide on a budget of 68 million, which we're not quite sure that if it is a commercial success.
They repaid the cost of a movie. It's not a success. It's a made success. And a mid failure as well.
Now, it's not a complete failure though, because it was okay, let's say. But the movie also didn't really amaze critics much, giving it 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. However, the audience really didn't give a damn on what...
Let's be honest.
on what critics say, since they give it a nice 82%. Moving on to 2002 with Wind Talkers, one of the most explosive movies of 2002, directed and produced by John Woo, the master of action movies and obviously action scenes. I mean, I think he has also directed Mission Impossible 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
That one with famous fight scene on beach. And also all the birds and pigeons while running in the bunker. That seems, yeah. Anyways.
You just described a lovely mad lad.
Now, this time he has put his finger on a colossal war movie. The movie is loosely based on a real-life operation during World War II. Nicolas Cage as Joe Enders. He is a Marine traumatized by the loss of his entire platoon in the Solomon Islands during an ambush that he believes was deadlier than necessary due to his indecision. Suffering from eardrum damage in Hawaii, Joe manages to be declared fit for duty once again thanks to a sympathetic nurse played by Frances O'Connor. But his new assignment isn't what exactly he expected. Joe is ordered to safeguard a Navajo soldier named Ben Yazzie, played by Adam Beach, because the military has developed a new secret code based on the new near-dead Navajo language. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm not sure why all these World War II movies have difficult names. I'm sorry for mispronouncing anything from now on. Yeah,
we are trying our best.
We are trying. Believe me, we searched all the names to try to pronounce them in a correct way. Anyways, the military developed a new secret code based on near-dead Navajo language that is proving unbreakable to the Japanese. Now, it stars, as we said, Nicolas Cage, the most known hero of mainstream movies of Hollywood, at least for a few years, let's say in the 90s and early 20s, and let's say especially in movies with cops and police forces, who also could affect his this movie by his emotional and practical performance in spite of its different genre. Although we can all agree that at some points he overacts just a little bit. Not saying that he's not a good actor though, on the side note here. Yeah.
But he is a living meme, so we just have to accept that.
Yes, that's true.
And also we can see Kristen Stewart and Mark Ruffalo and many Navajo people in this movie, since there is a reasonable point for their presence. The Rotten Tomatoes, yes, giving it an expected 32% Rotten Tomatoes, the only tomato meter, I mean, and the audience has given it a 50%, so let's just say it's unfortunately rotten on both sides.
Ooh, burning on both sides.
I've wrote this man career. So just like its Rotten Tomato number, the film was a box office bomb, grossing only just under $41 million US dollars and a combined $77 million worldwide. And but it got over a $150 million budget. Roger Ebert gave the film 2 stars, remarking that the filmmakers buried beneath battlefield cliches while centering the story of a white Carter played by Nicolas Cage. I don't know, I meant Roger Ebert persona to be some kind of British man. So the film was criticized for featuring the Navajo people only in supporting roles, and they were not on the primary focus on the film itself. But the film was ranked number 4 on CareerAfterMilitary.com top 10 most inaccurate military movies ever made, which was also included The Patriot, The Hard Locker, U-70...
571?
Thank you, I can get the numbers straight. I'm not straight. So, and also The Green Berets, Pearl Harbor, Battle of the Bulge, Red Tails, Enemy and the Gates, and Flyboys on its list of falsified war movies productions.
Okay, so throughout these 3 episodes that we have talked about movies about World War II, we have talked about many movies that we have told you that are very hard to watch due to its brutal scenes, or are very heartbreaking, or let's say just they're very heart-wrenching and nerve-wracking. And then comes this movie with all these characteristics that we mentioned. With all these being said, that the words are simply not enough for this movie to describe how it shows the deepness and darkness of the survival in a huge war like this. But really, on seriousness, the movie is truly one of the saddest, darkest, hardest movie to watch. And I'm talking about The Pianist, coming out in 2002.
Oh, so it's
Yeah, it was so hard and it was so dark, and that Eleonora was
I have been traumatized
for a
by
moment.
it.
She was like, "Oh my God, what is this life?"
So, it's a biographical drama film produced and directed by Roman Polanski, script by Ronald Harwood, and starring Adrian Brody. It is based on the autobiographical book The Pianist, a Holocaust memoir by the Polish-Jewish pianist and composer
Let me say this.
Władysław Szlipan.
No. Władysław Szpilman.
She's so good, God damn it. So, that guy is a Holocaust survivor. The film was a co-production with France, the United Kingdom, Germany, and even Poland, of course. The story had a deep connection with director Roman Polanski because he escaped from the wreck of ghetto as a child after the death of his mother. He ended up living in a Polish farmer's barn until the war's end. His father almost died in the camps, but they were united after the end of World War II. Joseph Fiennes was Polanski's first choice for a lead role, but he turned it down due to a previous commitment to a radical role instead. And over, oh boy,
1,400
actors. It's crazy. Audition for the role of
Schmidman.
At a casting call in London. Unsatisfied with all who tried, Polanski served to cast Adrian Brody, whom he saw as an ideal for the role during their first meeting in Paris. Polanski's directional work with Brody's phenomenal performance combined has made such a masterpiece that is quite unforgettable and will remain in the history of movies forever.
And what I mean is that really forever, because it's such a memorable movie to watch. Now, The Pianist met with significant critical praise and received multiple awards and nominations. It was awarded the Palme d'Or at Cannes at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival. At the 75th Academy Awards, The Pianist won Oscar for Best Director for Roman Polanski, Best Adapted Screenplay for Ronald Harwood, and Best Actor for Adrian Brody, and was nominated for 4 other awards, including the Academy Award for Best Picture. It also won the BAFTA Award for Best Film and also BAFTA Award for Best Direction in 2003. And then 7 French César.
Right.
Am I pronouncing it
César,
correctly?
right.
César, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Brody. It was included in BBC's 100 Greatest Films in the 21st Century. Now, in the end, the movie earned more than $120 million over the budget of 35 million, and astonishingly, critics and audience are on the same page, giving it a big thumbs up with 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Welcome back once more to AutoCast. This is your co-host Twinkle Nora.
And Helga the Bluehead.
And now we're going to talk about Downfall of 2004.
Now,
do you want to say something?
So, here we go again with another tough names, but not just one, but many.
Yeah, I'll try my best to not sound like a dumbass. So, this movie tells the story of the final days of Adolf Hitler, we lost the Battle of Berlin 1935, and the final days of the Third Reich. It's directed by Oliver Hirschbiegel from a screenplay by its producer, Bernd Eiger. The film stars Bruno Gaz, Alexandra Maria Lara, Corinna Harfouch, Ulrich Matthes, Julian Kochler, Heino Furt, Christian Backel, Matthias Habit, and Thomas Kretschmann. It is based on the books Inside Hitler's Bunker by historian Joachim Fest and Until the Final Hour by Hitler's former private secretary Claude Ing, among other accounts of a period.
Now, as we said again, many top names, especially in this one. So the movie is for sure a must-watch. Let me tell you from the very first, in my opinion at least. But that doesn't mean it's easy to watch. First of all, it is 150 minutes, so it's quite a lot to be honest, and it feels like it. Also, it has, secondly, it has many gruesome scenes that may be hard to grasp and absorb. Things that have happened, but you don't want to believe that they have. And don't even let me get started on the brutal scenes that you might want to look away at some points. On the technical standpoint, though, the movie at the first scene may not be very special. But if you watch carefully, the camera work is pretty spectacular since it gives you the feelings that the characters have at that moment with its movements. The way the story is told is brilliant and breathtaking. The acting is astonishing. Bruno Ganz, may he rest in peace, who has portrayed Hitler, has done a great job. And while watching the movie, I was wondering, where is his Oscar for this role? I know. Yeah, that's how amazing he was. The guy even studied the Hitler and Mannerheim recording for 4 months to prepare for this role. Now, about the controversies right now.
Yeah, you go.
Since, these movies always have controversies, so let's get to this one. Downfall was the subject of dispute by critics and audience in Germany before and after its release, with many concerned of Hitler's role in the film as a human being with emotions in spite of his actions and ideologies. The portrayal sparked debates in Germany due to publicity from commentators, film magazines, and newspapers. The German tabloid Bild asked, "Are we allowed to show the monster as a human being?" Now, in their newspaper, it was also criticized for its scenes with the members of the Nazi Party, including the portrayal of officers such as Schenk, I think. The film was also seen as controversial because it was made by Germans instead of British or American filmmakers.
Well, Germans are still burned by what happened during World War II.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know.
So, the film premiered at the Toronto Film Festival on 14 September 2004, and it later received a wide theatrical release in Germany under its production company Constantin Film. The film grossed over $92 million, dollars, received favorable reviews both from critics with a strong 90% of Rotten Tomatoes, and was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the 77th Academy Awards.
Moving on to 2006 with Black Book. Now, it's not so famous among all the cinema fans or moviegoers, but it shocked and amazed anyone who watched it. Black Book is an extraordinary war movie with all kinds of ups and downs, with drama and thrilling scenes during a real marathon for some unknown good-shaped professional outside Hollywood native Dutch stars. This matter made this movie an unsolved enigma, not just for the viewers but also for the filmmakers as well. The love triangle makes the main part of the screenplay of this drama somehow. Now, it's Israel, 1956. Rachel, a young Jewish girl, rather unexpectedly meets an old friend at the kibbutz, where she is working as a teacher. It brings back memories of her experience in the Netherlands during the war, memorial of betrayal.
So, Black Book was co-written and directed by Paul Verhoeven and starring Carice Van Houten.
Now,
who, my dear Helia pointed out,
yeah,
you know?
She is Red Priestess in Game of Thrones series. Just in case you thought you were over all the trauma about the last episode, I just reminded you that again.
I don't know anything about it, but people said it was terrible.
Yeah,
I
move on.
believe in you.
Just move on.
So it also stars Sebastian Koch, Tom Hoffman, and Kalina Regine. Right. Rain. Thank you.
I don't know. I just don't know.
So the film, credited as based on several true events and cartels, is about a young Jewish woman in the Netherlands who becomes a spy for the resistance during World War II after a tragedy befalls her in an encounter with the Nazis. It's more of a thriller than a war movie, but the action is so colored by a sense of vivid historical recollection and an interesting narrative-driven adventure as well. It is violent, it has a lot of sexual frank and deeply engaging. The plot twist barely stops at all, even until the twisted and complicated final, which forces us to realize that our heroine is far from being safe.
Now, the press in Netherlands was positive about the movie with 3 golden calves. Yeah? I think Black Book won the most awards at the Netherlands Film Festival in 2006. The international press responded positively as well, especially to the performance of Van Houten. It was nominated for the BAFTA Award for the Best Film Not in English Language and was the Dutch submission for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film in 2007, but unfortunately wasn't nominated. Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 75% on the side of critics. However, the audience thinks that the movie is better than that, giving it an 87%, and at the box office it earned 27 million on a budget of 21 million. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crush at my place, baby, you're a wreck.
Needless to say, I'll keep her in check. She was all at that, but nevertheless, quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Calling at my place, baby, you're a fucking wreck.
Oh, I thought it's the part.
Chilled.
Truly suck at it. Then you're left in the dust, unless I stuck by you. You're a sunflower. I think your love will be too much, or you'll be left in the dust, unless I stuck by you. You're a sunflower. You're the sunflower. Every time I'm leaning on you, you don't make it easy. No. Wish I could be there for ya. Give me reason to go. Every time I'm talking out, I can hear you telling me turn around. Fight you for my trust, I won't back down. Even if I gotta risk it all right now. Care of no. You don't have to be alone, no. No.
Cantiamo così bene come osi.
Okay, moving on to 2008 with The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
You had to start.
I know. It's at some point it kind of struck me. I was like, what should I do when my brain sort of stopped working. So the story is about an 8-year-old child named Bruno, played by Asa Butterfield, moved with his family outside of the city in the countryside. At the time, it was occupied by Poland. Bruno hates his new home. He knows nobody and there's very little to explore. One day he discovers an extermination camp, which he thinks it's a farm, and by digging a tunnel, he can get close to its borders. Beyond, he meets a Jewish boy his own age named Shmuel, played by Jack Scanlon. Although the anti-Semitic thoughts and warnings, Bruno doesn't actually mind his new friend, and between the two starts a deep friendship as they pass time playing together, with limitations though because of the barbed wire.
The Boy in the Striped Pajamas takes a look at the Holocaust in an unusual manner, depicting the social experience of the two boys of different and supposed enemy sides. It's not an original subject, of course, since we saw it already in many other movies, but the setting and the courageous plot twist makes it even more touching and even more heartbreaking. Despite all of this, the movie received a lot of negative criticism about the inaccuracy of historical facts, just like a false equivalent between victims and perpetrators, like drawing sympathy for the Holocaust perpetrators at the end of the film, or the impossibility of actual kids being still alive after being moved to an extermination camp, since they were most likely murdered at their own arrival. It is not the most recognizable movie about this subject, but the Holocaust educator Michael Gray found that more than 3/4 of British school children between the ages of 13 and 14, his sample had engaged with The Boy in Striped Pajamas, significantly even more than The Diary of Anne Frank. The film was having a significant effect on many of the children's knowledge and beliefs about the Holocaust.
Now, the movie holds a 63% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It has also got 6 nominations between 2008 and 2009 for a total of 4 film awards. Also, Mark Herman has won Best Director at the British Independent Film Awards.
Welcome back once more to our cast. And now, what was that? So, we're now going to talk about Hacksaw Ridge of 2016. It's a film directed by Mel Gibson and written by Andrew Knight and Robert Shankan, based on the 2004 documentary The Conscientious Objection. Let me try once more. Pop up. The Conscientious Objector. Yes.
Yeah.
The film focuses on the World War II experiences of Desmond Doss, an American pacifist combat medic who, at Seventh-day Adventist Christian, refused to carry own a weapon or even to use a firearm of any kind. Doss became the first conscientious objector to be awarded the Medal of Honor for service above and beyond the call of duty during the Battle of Okinawa. Andrew Garfield stars as Doss, with Sam Worthington, Luke Bracey, Teresa Palmer, Hugo Weaving, Rachel Griffiths, and Vince Vaughn in supporting roles.
Okay, now the movie is a huge hit on a technical level. And by that, you will be astounded by the work that's been done, especially on the part of editing, sound mixing, and sound editing, special effects, and of course, Garfield's brilliant performance. Of course, Doss himself was a religious man, and it really shows in the movie. It actually somehow gives a religious tone to the movie as well. But you shouldn't forget that how much this movie is well made. Mel Gibson has done a great job demonstrating Desmond Doss's character and his point of view, and of course the brutality of war as well. Again, it's something that we mention in every movie about World War II.
Every movie about World War II is brutal, upsetting, guys.
Yeah, but I went to watch this movie in the theater and I was literally at the edge of my seat. It was so intense. Through the whole movie, my heart was pumping really fast.
Aww,
It's
really cute,
It was so intense. So and a bit of fun fact here, Palmer wanted a role in the film so badly that she auditioned via phone and sent the recording to Gibson. She heard nothing back for 3 months. Until Gibson called Palmer to tell her in a Skype chat that he had cast her in the role of Dorothy, Doss's wife.
Huh. And well, Hacksaw Ridge won Best Film Editing and Best Sound Mixing and was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Garfield and Best Sound Editing at the Academy Awards. The movie won Also, Best Editing was nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role for Garfield once more, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Sound, and Best Makeup and Hair at the British Academy Film Awards. The film won over Best Action Movie and Best Actor in an Action Movie for Garfield, and was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Garfield, Best Editing, and Best Hair Makeup at the Critics' Choice Awards. Yeah, people had pretty hair in this movie.
Now, the film received 3 nominations at the Golden Globe Awards, including Best Motion Picture for Drama, Best Actor, again for Motion Picture Drama, for Garfield, and Best Director. Now,
For Garfield. I hate Mondays. Sorry, I had to say that.
The film won Best Actor for Garfield, again, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and was also nominated for, again, Best Film, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and Best Art Direction and Production Design at the Satellite Awards.
You forgot one award.
Why?
You forgot to be Garfield.
It sold over 175 million, over 40 million budget, and has got 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, so I think it's safe to say that we have talked more than enough.
Why do you think so? We just did 2 episodes about the same topic. We should do like a 10 block.
No. Do you know how many movies we've talked about?
I don't know how to count.
Okay, we've talked about 20 movies.
Huh.
Yeah. So I think it's enough.
Well, maybe.
We tried our best to provide a pretty good list for about these sort of movies, and of course, obviously, some sort of list can go on and on and on. But we gotta stop here, because after 3 episodes, it will get a bit repetitive. I mean, how many episodes we are going to talk about wars?
So that's why for the next episode, can I say that? It is a spoiler?
It's supposed to be a surprise, so don't say it.
It will be a surprise, but trust me, if you're a weeb, you will absolutely love it. And I am a weeb, so trust me.
So, anyways, don't forget to follow us on our social media. We're all over the place.
We are on Facebook as Roma Tre Radio, on Twitter as Roma Tre Radio. Remember to write it as letters, and on Instagram too as Roma Tre Radio, but the 3 has a number. And well, you can listen to us through a streaming website, radio.uniromatre.it. And finally, least but not least, on the TuneIn app as Roma Tre Radio.
So yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed about all the movies that we've talked on this matter, World War II.
We put our passion and screams and tears into it, so thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. This has been your host, Helio the Bluehead.
And Twinkle Nora.
Thank you all for tuning in, and goodbye. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.